Hey guys, so today I want to do another in-depth solo analysis, and today we're going to be looking at Brad Mehldau's solo from Solar off of his Art of the Trio Volume 4 album. And I'm only going to show you about 2 choruses of this solo. I think if we focus on less at a time, it's easier to retain. I don't want to overload you with ideas. And I think this type of stuff is cool because even though you guys can transcribe these solos yourself, and I encourage that, I'm really just trying to help you guys to really break down every single line here and really make sure you can understand how all the notes fit in outlining the particular chord changes because, I think it helps to simplify your understanding of what he's doing because when you hear the lines, they sound great, but once you actually see why they work and what he's doing, it makes it easier to understand. It helps demystify what he's doing. Okay, so the chorus that I'm starting at starts at about 4:14 in the recording, and it's coming out of like another theme from the last chorus. So I'm gonna leave some space at the top of the chorus. So I'm coming in with a line that starts at the C7. So I have a recording that I made for the loop or a loop of the chord changes to this song. So let me just play it first. So. Okay, so that's about it. So let's just dive right into it, okay? And hopefully, I suggest that if you don't know the changes to this song, just get a chart for this, maybe online or whatever, so you can follow along while you're watching this video. So we're coming in, and this is a good tune. Anytime you transcribe lines from Solar, it's good because it's basically just got a lot of, 2/5s, and that stuff is obviously great for adding to your jazz vocabulary. So we're starting, again, we're leaving space with these 2 measures of C minor in the beginning. Then we have a 2-5-1 leading to F major. So a whole measure of G minor, a whole measure of C7, then F major. So we're actually starting on the C7. Here's the G minor, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. So he's basically, in terms of C7, just playing the 3rd in the root, but he's basically taking these notes here, which are part of a F major 7 arpeggio. He's just leaving the root out. So it's actually also a A minor, which is obviously related to F major, an A minor triad. Okay, so he's just basically landing on that. Alright, now the next line, it's starting when we get to the next 2/5 words, 2-5-1 leading to E flat major. It's like basically F minor 7, B flat 7 to E flat. So he's starting on beat 2 of the F minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so he's actually playing just a lot of quarter notes there, but it's a fast tempo, so that's why, and it's still swinging in time, so it still sounds good. So what is he doing? So he's starting on beat 2 of the F minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. He's landing on that. So that's basically a C minor triad, which in relationship to F minor works. They're just basically using upper extension. So the C, well, this is the 5th of the C minor triad. This is a G, so this is the 9th of F minor. Here you get the 5th, and then you get the 7th. So that's a nice sound over F minor. And he's landing on this for the B flat 7. So this is a chord tone. He's going. Now this is also just chord notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And basically, that's the 13. I'm sorry, he didn't land on the chord tone. He landed on the 13. But then he's going to the major 3rd, then 5th of B flat, and the flat 9. Now, a common thing, and the reason why I think a lot of these lines are good is, this is kind of hard to explain, but his voice leading in his lines is really good. So even for this B flat 7, if you look at those 4 quarter notes, if you look at the top notes and the bottom, like this is moving down to that, and this is moving down to that. Okay, so there's going to be other good examples of the good voice leading too, but try and hear how those lines voice lead well. So that whole 2/5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, and he's landing on E flat major. Okay, now when he lands on that, he's landing on the tonic here, but before we look at the line, let me explain what he's doing from a harmonic point of view. So even though typically when you land on this E flat major chord, the way the changes work is you have a whole measure of E flat major 7, then the next measure you have a 2/5, half measure each of E flat minor 7 to A flat 7, which will land to the D flat, but it's a half a measure each. So basically what I think he's doing, the way he's sort of simplifying his thinking is this. Instead of having a whole measure of E flat major 7 and then a half of E flat and a half of A flat 7, I think what he's doing for the whole first measure of E flat major, he's already kind of thinking of E flat minor. Now you might think that that's wrong, but it's just a means of how he's cadencing to the next sort of tonal center, which would be the D flat major 7. So he doesn't really, like, he's landing on the E flat tonic here, but he's not really expressing a major sound at all. It's almost like he's changing those two measures into a whole measure of E flat minor 7 and then a whole measure of A flat 7. So he's basically just extending the 2/5. So again, coming from that 2/5, he's landing on this. So that's what those two measures are. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and... Okay, so that's very clearly E flat minor there. And then, I mean, you can say he's in A flat 7. Now, even though this is the sort of pickup that's leading into the next thing, so the next part of the line is basically this. Okay, so let's see how we can analyze it. So the first 8 notes, which are all eighth notes, that's for a measure of D flat major 7. And we're going to go back to that in a second, but we know that it's leading into this. And that is a minor 2/5 leading back to the C minor 7. And that line first, that's a very easy to see line. Basically, you have D half diminished G7. He's really just thinking G7, which is okay. You have a G major triad, and then he's adding in the 7 to make it the dominant. And then he's just coming down it, but then he's playing that note instead of the third. It's like the 4, and then the 5th again. So he's basically just thinking G7 for that minor 2/5. But the line that's coming before it, in the measure before that, is for the D flat major 7 chord. Okay, so this doesn't really traditionally outline D flat major, but it's for the most part a chromatic line. It doesn't start with full chromaticism, but then it gets chromatic. And again, it's just chromatically flowing into a note that it's approaching. So even though, the way I would make sense of this is, even though it's not traditionally outlining the D flat major 7, it's chromatically leading into the minor 2/5, so it's still, from a voice leading point of view, makes sense. Okay, and even the line that notes before that, I think that is part of it. Okay, so it's just chromaticism that he's basically inserting to lead to the next part. Okay, and then when you get to that, you're at the top, and that's just very easy C minor outline. Minor 3rd, 11, and 5th. Okay, so and now we're on the next chorus. So then he has some space, and then he gets to the 2/5, leading to the F major 7. And for this 2/5, so here we're going to see some cool stuff with the voice leading again. So he's leaving space on the G minor, and then when he gets to the C7, all he's thinking, which is totally legitimate, is a C augmented triad. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so he starts with eighth notes and then he syncopates the other ones. Okay, So obviously the C augmented triad works over C7, and it's great because he's approaching F major, and all he's really going into is these F major triad ideas. And if you look at, again, the way the notes are voice leading, it's like, then he goes back down to there. So it's like the voice leading part of the line that you hear is really leading into that, which is the third of F major. Okay, so if you really look at these lines, you can see that it really has some nice voice leading. And then when he gets here, so it's basically F major triad with some added, like, extra diatonic passing tones right here. And then here you got the seventh, the major 7. Okay, and now here he's doing stuff. Now that's the minor third of F minor, so that's what he's leading into. But if you look at the way the line is flowing, again, it has some nice voice leading. Because first you're there. Okay, so it's basically the that has that nice sound to it. And basically here, just very traditional chord tones leading into other chord tones. This would be like the third of B flat 7, okay? Now, I'm just going to actually move the line down an octave just for ease, but it's really the same thing, you know? Okay, then he's got some space in the B flat 7. Now, the second measure, or, yeah, the measure B flat 7 at the end, he's leading into this. Now, we know we're approaching the E flat major 7 again, and he's leading into it with this. Now, those notes, you can kind of see that is sort of outlining E flat minor. So I'd say he's kind of thinking the same thing maybe that he did with the last chorus too, where he's already changing the E flat major into E flat minor, because the chords are moving so fast anyway, and in a second it's going to be turning into minor and cadencing to the D flat major anyway. So he's basically leading into it with like an E flat minor sound. And now what he's going to do, okay, so I think what he's doing here is he's using the concept of modal exchange, or I can't think of it right now, but he's basically borrowing from different minor modes. So typically, if you have that E flat minor sound there, you'd probably think Dorian in the case of the 2 chord leading to the 5. But, you know, he starts with this E flat minor, but then he's going into this, which is an E major triad. So you can understand, if you have an E major triad, but you also have E flat minor, it's like the E flat is like the Phrygian chord, and then this would be like the Lydian chord. So he's basically borrowing from the Phrygian mode, I think, to get that sound. Okay, that would be like the first measure of what would technically be played over E flat major. And then the next measure, where it would be E flat minor to A flat 7, he's doing. Okay, now this is a really cool line because he's starting with that same. Those notes there still indicate to me that he's still in that E major type sound, or E flat Phrygian minor sound. So that's what he's doing there, but then he's going. And those notes over to A flat 7, you know, it's just basically outlining A flat 7 starting on the sus4, the 4, 3, 2, flat 2, that. So it's got some chromatic passing tones there. That's just a really cool 2-5-1 line because it's starting with that Phrygian mode. Basically, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a cool line for a 2-5-1 line, but it's simple. Okay, so it's just like a 2-5 leading to this D flat, and then what he's doing here, once he lands on this, which is the 5th, so that's like a D flat sus 2, and then like a F minor, which triad, which is also related to D flat major. Here, this note gives you the major third, so it was like suspended. It was suspended with this note, but then it's like resolving with the third there. And then the last part is just a really traditional minor 2-5, landing on that. Okay, and this 2-5, again, even though it's a really simple minor 2-5 line, again, if you really look at it, the voicing of it makes it good, because look at what you have here. You're going up to this, but you're approaching it with this minor third here. And then this G major triad, you're leaving this note the same, so you have a common note, but it goes from here to that. So the other notes approaching it are moving down a half step, so it's like you have a major third moving chromatically down to this major third. And then resolving, okay? So again, that's one of the biggest things of these lines here that I think you should really take notice of, is how his lines have really good voicing in them. And you know, we pretty much just got through the whole thing already, and again, you can see like he's really just outlining the chord changes for the most part. He's not really doing anything too crazy harmonically speaking. The only thing that's a little out there is how he's taking the E flat major oftentimes and already turning it into minor, which is what it's going to change into anyway. But that's really the only real substitution that he's doing, at least within these two choruses. Everything else is pretty straightforward as far as outlining the changes go. And like I always say, the fact that it's harmonically correct and in time, oftentimes like that's why it sounds good, but he's just, everything is precise and it's exact. So, and again, a lot of these lines, like, they're great. You can add them to your musical vocabulary. That's the whole point of why I like to show you guys this stuff. So I kind of just did this off the cuff right here, so I hope it wasn't, you know, too convoluted and everything, but, you know, I'm doing this, you know, to help you guys, so I hope you enjoy.